What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you are into that, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you agree with where I ranked your team in my ultimate 136 preseason college football rankings? Yes. I ranked every single team in college football heading into this preseason, and I have a framework for which I used it. As we go through these teams, I will try to answer your questions and get to the bottom of where your team is and why I chose to put them there. One of the things that I would like to start with is this isn't your average or normal college football ranking. Certainly going to differ from the Associated Press's preseason ranking, which has got Penn State at number 2. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I set the rankings to be fluid, right? This is a jumping off point based on what we know, right? Who do I think is good? Why do I think they're good? And what are the chances they will finish above or below my expectations, right? So this means that I do a tremendous amount of research that really begins in February and goes all the way through to right now. We're still tweaking all the way up to the lead up to this thing because it's an enormous document. If you go check it out, you'll be able to find your team pretty quick, but it is over 20,000 words, which is about 1/5 of the last book that I wrote, right? Requiem for the Massacre. It's actually back there. You should read it if you are into history and the Tulsa Race Massacre from a guy who went and did the work. But in doing that sort of book, I learned to do a whole lot of research in classic journalistic terms, means that going to find out who's on what team and then take into account things that I think matter as we look at college football and how we rank these teams, such as strength of schedule, coaching continuity. There's a graph here like strength of schedule, coach continuity, returning starters, 2025 recruiting class, transfer portal results, athletic administration, star players, and expected household names. So, for instance, right, if you are a Michigan Wolverine, you know that Bryce Underwood is an expected household name. So there are a lot of other variables that we can get to, but those are the main ones that I wanted to focus on when I ranked 136 teams. Having an issue, please, like if you have an issue with the rankings, let me know in the comments below. Hit me up on X, Instagram, the TikToks, wherever it is that you choose to give me your thoughts. And people have been loud about them. Certainly, my alma mater, University of Tulsa, is basically not happy, but that's okay. That's okay because this also is what the job is. This is why National College Football Analyst is the title. I don't really bring who I root for into this. I bring in, are you any good? What's your strength of schedule? What's your coach continuity? I don't much care that Trey Lamb has a better golf game than any other head coach playing. I care about what the program has looked like in the interim years and what did you bring in that leads me to believe you may or may not be able to contend in 2025. So let's start with the team that I think should be at number 1 for everybody, right? And that is Texas. Texas supposed to win the national championship this year. There's no getting around that. It's the first time in 2 decades they're supposed to do it. But I think one of the things that gets lost in all of this about Texas is Quinn Ewers really set them up to go be great in 2025. And now he fell to the 7th round Miami Dolphins, but I think if Tua Tagovailoa trips, falls, gets another concussion, you might see Quinn Ewers step in there and Wally Pipp our guy Tua Tagovailoa. But in doing so, set the table for a guy like Arch Manning to come along. Arch Manning is a much more talented quarterback. He's got better wheels. He's got a big arm. I know that we don't have a whole lot to film to go off of, but I'll start with this. He threw for 939 yards last year, including a 300-yard passing performance against Mississippi State, to which you're going, Mississippi State ain't no good. Yeah, but they play in the SEC. And if you are going to judge him, right, based on who he has played and how he played against them. Ewers didn't have the rushing yards that Arch Manning had, right? Arch had 108 rushing yards over the course of those games that he played in. And I think he's the most talented quarterback that Texas has had since Vince Young. And I'm including Colt McCoy in that commentary. So we'll draw our own conclusions about who the number one team is in the country when Ohio State and Texas play on August 29th. But I also enjoy the running back room. One of the things that Steve Sarkisian has always prided himself on is having a 1,000-yard back. And came close to not having one last year, but he ended up with one. And Quintravion Wideman, who rushed for 1,046 yards and is the SEC's top returning tailback in yardage. Now they get C.J. Baxter back and Christian Clark. They'll be deep at that position. Ryan Wingo figures to play a bigger role. So does DeAndre Moore, who wants to be the best Texas wide receiver ever, wants to break all of Jordan Shipley's records, and Jordan Shipley's a terror. For those of y'all that do not remember him, I need you to go watch the tape. That white boy had it going on. He was absolutely destroying anybody and everybody. Between Jordan Shipley and Ryan Broyles, I don't think you could think of a wide receiver that Texas fans hated more than Ryan Broyles. I don't think you could think of a wide receiver that OU fans hated more than Jordan Shipley. Feel like that dude was always open doing something. Now, they got to replace Kelvin Banks on that offensive line, but I think they're going to be okay with Trevor Gooseby. I think Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons are going to be monsters. Michael Taft is All-American. He's coming back. And under the radar here, they got better in the kicking game, right? They got went and got Texas State's kicker, who's making 60-yarders, and got rid of Bert Auburn, who probably lost in some football games. Maybe. See. Maybe you look it up. Also, Bert Auburn has scored more points than anybody else in Texas, so it's kind of funny. Texas, I think, could only go down from here, but they're going to get to go to Ohio State and prove that they are number one team in the country, as I have Ohio State at number 2. The Buckeyes don't rebuild, they reload. It's a cliche, but it works for them because it's true. They lost 14 NFL draft picks, but that doesn't mean that they're not talented. What it does mean is, oh yeah, they've got guys behind them. Now, on top of that, they've got an 0-4 record against Michigan the last 4 years. We'll talk about that. But they were able to overcome that loss last year and run the table. And big reason why is Jeremiah Smith. People know this. He also has said out loud he doesn't plan to lose to Michigan ever again. My favorite quote from The Athletic: "I just hate them. Just something about them. For the next 2 years, I promise you, I will not lose to them. I can't lose to them in the next 2 years." It's a heady statement, and I don't know that it's taken into account. There's an entire class of Ohio State players and, more importantly, students and alumni who never beat Michigan. That lives forever. Ask CJ Stroud how that lives. So I hope he is right for his sake. Bottom line, though, is Smith and Caleb Downs are the 2 best players in the country on anybody's roster, period. Wide receiver, safety. That's just true. Then you are changing out your coordinators, right? Chip Kelly goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. Jim Knowles goes to Penn State. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Brian Hartline gets elevated to full-time play caller with the play sheet and wide receiver coach. And then you bring in Matt Patricia, who has won Super Bowls, 3 of them, to run your defense. I don't think the schemes are going to change, just the guys calling the plays. We'll see what that looks like. Julian Sayin has waited for this opportunity to go win the job, go beat Lincoln Kienholz out and secure it. Every unit on the team, outside of perhaps the offensive line, is probably going to be one of the best in the country, if not top 10. They'll fill a hole at left tackle, left guard, and center, but they did that last year, and it worked just fine. They slid out a left guard to left tackle and won a national championship. Team has a chance to do what Georgia has been the only program to do in the college football playoff era, and that is go back-to-back. Talent is there, right? Number 3, I got Oregon. Combine their sweetheart schedule with the 10 or more games that they have won across, the last 5 seasons. It's really difficult to think of Oregon not being a top 5 team to me. 25-3 over the last 2 years. The most challenging part of their schedule, though, is also just they're at Penn State. So Penn State gets an opportunity to earn their AP ranking and perhaps make me look bad, which I invite you to do just that. But the following week, they get Indiana at Autzen. And then the toughest opponent they play is like Rutgers. And I say that because they got to cross, 4 time zones to get to Piscataway. So that might be doing something to them, but it's still Rutgers. I get Dante Moore, and he hasn't played, but he's viewed as, the guy. And he's waited this opportunity and been the understudy for Dylan Gabriel for a year. Yeah, it's going to be a third different quarterback in as many years for Will Stein, but that ain't really held him back. Now, has it? They got DeCorian Moore, who is the best wide receiver in this class, has an opportunity to be as good as Ryan Williams, perhaps even as good as Jeremiah Smith, given that Evan Stewart is out. And I think the best player on their team, Dylan Thunderman, who I think is the second best safety in all of college football, and he could truly be great for them, along with Mateo Uiagalelei, Bear Alexander, who has been my favorite mercenary in college football. Dan Lanning, though, just book it, right? He's going to get 10 wins. They might end up the number one team again, but kind of like Penn State, can they win the whole damn thing? We'll find out. Notre Dame at number 4. CJ Carr, man, I think it's going to be him, but it's going to be about Jeremiah Love. It's going to be about the guy that can run the ball and who has shown that he is young and he is hungry. Same thing with Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison. The Fighting Irish are set to return 11 starters from their national title runner-up team. And I think, unlike Texas Christian, they could get back to the game, right? They can get back to this thing that makes that Northern Illinois loss at home look even more squirrely. But last year, my favorite stat for them is they outscored their opponents 149-45 in the third quarter, in the we're moving corner, in the we're closing it down quarter. They were really great. They converted also nearly 73% of their fourth down conversions. Really love that for them too. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I'd be remiss if I did not say we get a really interesting schedule from Notre Dame. Like this game against Arkansas, I'm going, oh, really? And then I can't wait to see what they're going to do to open this season against Miami. It's going to be a lot of fun. Georgia at number 5 for me. Georgia enters 2025 knowing who the starter at quarterback is and feeling good about the future with Gunnar Stockton. They have to. Dude throw for 1 million yards in high school, but that's not really what they do at Georgia. You could have a guy that throws for 3,700 yards, 3,800 yards. He's going to spread the ball around. One of the things that they did need to address that they did was the wide receiver core. They brought in an All-American in Zachariah Branch who can do everything you want. I think of him as a James Cook kind of figure for them. He can run the ball. He can take end arounds. He's going to be great in the slot. He's going to be able to take top off the defense. He's that fast. And he's going to make you elite in punt return and kick return. My favorite stat, and I beat it up, and I will continue to beat it up, is Georgia hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2019. And Georgia has had only one 1,000-yard receiver in a single season ever. They just don't need to have it. They just got to be great on defense. Like A.J. Green, no 1,000-yard season. Brock Bowers, no 1,000-yard season. George Pickens, no 1,000-yard season. Terrence Edwards, yeah, he had 1,000 yards. 1,004, 2002. Pretty cool. Pretty awesome for him. He gets to keep that and probably doesn't change for some time. Still, they went back-to-back 21, 22. Dogs got a medieval-style gauntlet to run through in the SEC, though. They are at Texas last year, and they were at then they had Ole Miss, who beat them, and Alabama, who beat them. This year, you got to keep in mind, though, Georgia, oh my God, 30 Georgia players. Oh, my God, this is just a wild stat. Check this out, man. 30 Georgia players, including 11 in the first round, an entire side of the football, have been drafted since 2021. Kirby Smart is 105-19 in 9 seasons at Georgia. And I want you to keep that in perspective every time we talk about Kalen DeBoer and his win-loss record. I think that we really just do not give that man enough credit for what he has done. Clemson at number 6 for me. Dabo Swinney not only returned to starting quarterback in Cade Klubnik, who is a Heisman favorite, but his offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley, and he added former Penn State defense coordinator Tom Allen to the program. Perhaps no team has proven to be more resilient in the college football playoff era than Clemson. Somehow, some way, they found themselves in that thing last year, and they were really good. They were really great. I think this year they get to have a real opportunity to go win the national championship again. They could go 16-0, according to Dabo Swinney. Clemson gets the rare opportunity to throw down an early marker against the top 10 team in LSU, who's headed to the real Death Valley. Yes, I wrote about that too. In week 1, they also got TJ Moore, Antonio Williams, Bryant Wesco Jr. They lost guys like Troy Stellato, but I don't think they're that upset about it. Peter Moore is a dog. He's going to be great. TJ Parker had 11 sacks last year. He's going to be great. I expect they'll be right there at the end once again. And if they make the ACC championship, you got to believe they got an opportunity to win it. Then at number 7, I got Penn State. Penn State, who, as I have said, has a total of 14 starters that return this season. They got the best defensive coordinator in the country and Jim Knowles to join up with them. And they got Andy Kotelnicki back for another year. But they are 0-7 against Ohio State and Michigan over the past 4 years, 1-15 against AP top 5 opponents. I get that people are saying that they're due, but so is the rent. And one way or another, it's getting paid in January. And unlike Penn State, my checks don't bounce. Number 8, we got LSU. Brian Kelly got Garrett Nussmeier back. That's the SEC's returning leader in passing with over 4,000 yards. Got to keep him healthy. Got to keep him upright. Got him some dudes to play around him. Barian Brown, fast. Nick Anderson, fast. Defensively, Patrick Payton figures to make them better on the edge. Harold Perkins makes them better on the edge. Whit Weeks makes them great at linebacker. They got a 6'5" corner in DJ Pickett, guys. That dude is going to be a monster. I can't wait to see him play. Apart from Clemson, LSU should be favored in every game it plays, though. That's just what it is. If they're going to win it all, this is the time to do it. And it feels like BK knows that. He gave $1 million of his own money to the Name, Image, and Likeness Fund this year for this team. Number 9, we got Alabama, who, no program has made more appearances in the college football playoff, 8, or has more wins, 9, or national titles, 3. But those all belong to Nick Saban. None of those belong to Kalen DeBoer. In the 12-team format, you thought Alabama would be a shoo-in to the college football playoff, but they got left out and were left to haggle about Southern Methodist getting a spot they thought they should deserve, and then they get beat by Michigan in their bowl game. Jalen Milroe's gone. Justice Haynes is gone, but Ryan Williams is still there. Ty Simpson figures to be able to do the job. Deontay Lawson leads a defense that should be pretty damn good. He's had at least 67 sacks, 67 tackles, not sacks. My God, if you had 67 sacks, that'd be pretty good. 2 sacks each of the past 2 years. Alabama has non-conference games against Florida State. Tommy Castellano's been talking a lot of noise. And Wisconsin in the first 3 weeks. Then they get a balanced breakfast from week 5 to week 13, man. At Georgia versus Vanderbilt, at Missouri versus Tennessee, at South Carolina versus LSU, and versus Oklahoma. By then, we'll know who's playing for what in the Iron Bowl. And it could be Auburn and Alabama are playing for a college football playoff spot. Could be, but neither one of them are. And then at number 10, I got Oklahoma. John Mateer, Jaden Knott should form one of the 2 best QB-RB duos in the SEC behind Manning and Baxter at Texas. I think C.J. Baxter is going to have a year this year. I think adding Mateer, adding Ben Arbuckle, you hope to have this plug-and-play offense, and you hope to get similar results. Mateer, who had 3,100 yards passing, 800 yards on the ground. When Jaden Knott was healthy, he was great. 1,300 yards on the ground. Add Javonte Barnes to that, and you could be looking at the first 1,000-yard rusher at Oklahoma since 2022. That'd be Eric Gray, who went for 1,300. At edge, they're going to be good, man. R. Mason Thomas is one of those dudes. Kip Lewis is great. Safety at Peyton Bowen is one of the better defensive backs in the country. They got Michigan week 2. They got South Carolina in Charleston, or Columbia. Tennessee, and Alabama. Tennessee and Alabama, those are winnable games. South Carolina is a winnable game. Frankly, Oklahoma can win most, if not all, these games. Texas might be tough, but it's also OU Texas, and you can always kind of figure on it being OU Texas. Come back, I want to have another conversation about the rest of the top 25 as we work our way through me talking about my 136. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that I got it right with your team in my Ultimate 136? As the AP preseason rankings also just came out, we're going to talk about all of those things. We've done the top 10 in my Ultimate 136. We're moving to the rest of the top 25. And at number 11, I got Indiana, who made the biggest jump of anybody in 2020, from 2024 to 2025. Kurt Signetti showed up and they started winning and winning at a high level. 11 wins. Their only losses are to the two teams that played in the national title game. That is Ohio State and Indiana. They returned 16 starters from that 11-win team. They add Fernando Mendoza, who feels like he could be an upgrade from Curtis Rourke. And they're probably going to get better at tailback. I think if they can get the Roman Himby that we saw a couple of years ago, they're going to be great. Favorite stat for them, they outscored opponents 108-20 in the first quarter last season. They keep starting fast like that. They're going to be pretty damn good. Their tough games, Oregon, Illinois, Penn State. I could see them winning all of those. They're really that good. Number 12, I got Michigan. That is 2 spots ahead of where they are in the AP. And this is mostly because they signed Bryce Underwood, and I expect him to start. Number 1 quarterback in the 2025 class. Yeah, there's Mikey Keene. Yeah, there's Jake Garcia. But we know what time it is, right? Michigan won 8 games without a quarterback that threw for more than 1,200 yards. The defense will be good. They get Rod Moore back, they could be great. I think defensively, Wink Martindale knows exactly what he's got. Ernest Hausman's going to be great. And I think you're going to see a lot of Derek Moore getting home to the quarterback. Now, they lost the 2 best defensive tackles, I think, in the sport last year, in Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, but they still can be a top 10 defense if they get guys like Rayshon Benny to show up and play. Number 13, I got Tennessee. Perhaps you think that Nico Iamaleava was the straw stirring the drink for Tennessee. Not so. It's Dylan Sampson, who's a Cleveland Brown, but I think they're going to be okay at both quarterback and tailback. Joey Aguilar figures to be the starter for week 1. And then Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, and others, Peyton Lewis, they figure to be your guys that want to be the bell cow back. If they don't have to run match protect and they can put more than 2 dudes out in routes, it's easy for me to see Tennessee being a good football team. Can they get back to the college football playoff? We'll see. They'll need to get some otherworldly performances either from Aguilar or from that running back group. The Volunteers are 23-0 when they run for at least 185 yards in a game. So again, they want to run the football at Tennessee. Defensively, Jamar McCoy, best player on your defense. Boo Carter, I think, figures into this as well. Bryson Eason, Josh Josephs, those guys are going to be dudes for you in 2025. If you can get Eason and Joseph to once again be great, you're going to be okay. The Vols open SEC play against Georgia, and it hasn't beaten that team since 2016. Games against Oklahoma, Florida, Syracuse round out a really tough schedule, but I think you're looking at 9 wins, maybe 10 if things break your way. I got Tennessee at 14, or Tennessee 14, excuse me, Ole Miss at 14. Year 6 of the Lane Kiffin experience in Oxford. He's got a new quarterback in Austin Simmons. They're looking to break through. Last year was supposed to be the year that they make the college football playoff. That didn't happen, okay? It's really difficult to come back from what was ultimately a letdown. You know that you were good enough. You beat Georgia in a fair fight. And the guy that's going to be starting for you, Austin Simmons, led a 75-yard scoring drive against that Georgia team, and he looked really great doing it. I think if there's a tandem between Austin Simmons and, say, Trey Wallace, could be pretty cool down there in Oxford this year. Perhaps we're talking about them making the college football playoff. 15, I got Missouri. They got 8 home games this year, and I know I've been harping on this, but that's a lot of home games, and all the tough games come to them this year. Okay, you add Bo Pribula to the mix. You add Ahmad Hardy, who went for over 1,300 yards at ULM last year. Kevin Coleman, who had 932 yards at Mississippi State last year. I think you're going to be okay. Now, your road matchups are at Auburn, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Those are all winnable games for Missouri if they play well. I think Missouri should contend for a playoff spot. Illinois, I got at 16. Brett Bielema is coached the Fighting Illini to the first 10-win season last year since 2001. And they should be in that Indiana spot this year where they can be the third team that gets in from this thing based on how many people they beat and who they beat. They avoid Michigan, they avoid Penn State and Oregon. So really, you got one team on that schedule that you got to beat for us to feel like you're a top 10 team, and they can do that. South Carolina at 17 for me. The Lenore Sellers era has been quite impressive from an offseason standpoint. I still want to see him put it together all the way. Like, I understand why the NFL draft nicks love him, okay? He's got all the tools of a Cam Newton, of an Anthony Richardson, but I need to see his potential and his athleticism lead them to a double-digit winning season. Now, they won 9 games last year, but they got beat by this Illinois team. I think if Sellers can put up a 3,000-yard, 1,000-yard season, he makes a believer out of me. And then we're talking about him really getting it done for perhaps a Heisman Trophy, if nothing else, finalist position at the end of the year. Shane Beamer has done a great job. I don't know that he gets enough credit for the turnaround that has happened at South Carolina. The team was 2-8 before he took it over in 2022. And by 2024, they'd won 9 games. Come on, guys. Like, that's pretty damn good. Miami, I'm a little bit lower on, mostly because this is about Mario Cristobal and not having Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's a better quarterback than Carson Beck, but that's not really that big a drop-off. It's more like Miami has steadily gotten better, but not great. 5-7 in 2022 to 10-3 last year. But things like the way you lost that Syracuse game come down to coaching. I need Mario Cristobal to get out of the way. He is fiery. He is in it. He is awesome as a motivator. But the game and clock management that has gone on at Miami has really led us to question what they're going to do in tight games, most because do we know that this man is going to make the right decision there? If he can, there's no reason that Miami can't win an ACC title this year. Kansas State at 19, they got Avery Johnson, who should be a 2,500-yard, 750 guy. They're going to be very fast in the backfield. Dylan Edwards back there as well, a guy that can return kicks for touchdowns if you want him to. And they should be favored in every game they play, but it's Kansas State. Don't lose the game that you're supposed to win and get yourself back to the Big 12 championship so that you get an invitation to the college football playoff for the first time. 20, I got Texas A&M. Despite a 1-4 finish, Mike Elko's program won 8 games with 2 losses to programs who ended up in the semifinals of the 2024 college football playoff. They've got Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver at wide receiver. They ought to be okay there. Marcel Reed leads a QB room that also features a 6'5" Brady Hart, who I can't wait to see play later. But if Marcel Reed is a 3,000, 1,000 guy, not unlike, say, Lenore Sellers, it's easy to see A&M being great this year. Defense is going to be on par. Mike Elko is going to get that done. It's about what are you going to be offensively with Le'Veon Moss and Marcel Reed. Florida, 21. It's the DJ Lagway experience. When he plays, they're great. When he doesn't, they're not. When he's injured, doesn't play. I can submit to you that if DJ Lagway had finished the game against Georgia last year, Florida probably wins. They are 6-1 when he starts a game. They are 6-0 when he starts and finishes the game. 6'3", 239. You've already heard some people say he's the best quarterback in the country. Now he has an opportunity to prove that, but you got to be healthy to do that. Florida has everything that Billy Napier needs to make the college football playoff for the first time and to play in the SEC championship game. We'll see. Texas Tech at 22 spent a lot of money to be very good. Now, after watching Arizona State go from 3-9 to 11-3, they went into the portal and they spent some money going, why not us? So what'd they get out? They got out $10 million worth of players that are led by guys like David Bailey and Quentin Joyner. They're going to chase this. The problem that I have with Texas Tech is that they haven't won 9 games or more since 2009. They've been basically capped at 8 wins, and 8 wins ain't going to get you into the playoff. Sure as hell ain't going to get you a Big 12 championship, and that is what they are chasing. You got to win championships. You're spending this kind of money on players. 23, I got Arizona State. Just not that high on them. I don't know that you can keep it up. Maybe I think you're more like Texas Christian when they made the national championship game in 2022 than I think you are, say, Ohio State or even Michigan, right? I think Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson form a really great tandem. Jordan Tyson could be the best wide receiver in that league. Sam Leavitt can be the best quarterback in that league. We will see. Kanye Udo, though, that's going to be the guy. If he can make up for the loss of Cam Scatterbo, which is going to be a tremendous amount of production to lose, and one of the reasons I'm not that high on them, then yeah, they can compete for the Big 12 championship again. 24, I got Southern Methodist. Mostly this has to do with the Mustangs haven't lost a regular season game in the ACC yet. So they keep that up, it's going to be easy. Kevin Jennings threw for 3,200 yards, 28 TDs last year, but against class competition didn't look that great. Class competition being Penn State and Clemson. 25, I got Colorado. Deion Sanders has his quarterback of the present and the future. Just depends on which one he wants to start, whether it's Caden Salter or Juju Lewis. Yeah, they lost Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, they lost Travis Hunter, who won the Heisman Trophy last year. But they don't want to be as pass happy as they've been in the past. And when they've been able to run the ball, they've been really good. And by run the ball, I just mean average 1 yard per carry. It's like one of my favorite stats for them is when they fell forward for an average of 1 yard per carry in a game, they won, undefeated. Now, that wide receiver core outside of Travis Hunter doesn't get enough credit. LaJohntay Wester, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn. But I think they'll have some guys in Draylon Miller, in Omarion Miller, and Hakeem Williams that can help them out tremendously. Tulsa transfer, Joseph Williams also going to help. And I think you're really going to love FCS Campbell's transfer, Sincere Brown. That's a guy who had 61 passes caught last year, 4,000 yards for the Camels. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Jaheim Otis figures to play an important role for that defense. BJ Green's production on the defensive line will be missed, but I think Otis is going to help with that. Arden Walker is a dog, 4.5 sacks last year. Carter Starkmeyer and DJ McKinney might be the best player on that team. They ought to be good. Whether or not they can play for a Big 12 championship, we'll see. But people forget they finished tied atop the Big 12 standings at 9-4. 26, I got USC. My goodness, Lincoln Riley returns Jaden Mayava, who threw for 1,200 yards, 11 TDs, 6 INTs late in the season. We'll see what he can do over the course of a year because we saw a fast start from Miller Moss last year, and then he got benched. I'm not sure that SC is going to be great this year, but after a 4-5 start last year, they could have easily been 9-0 if a couple of things went their way. We'll see what they can do with a schedule that won't see them play Ohio State or Penn State or Indiana. They travel to Purdue, game they can win. Illinois, maybe a game they can win. Nebraska, 50-50. Oregon, probably not. And then we'll see, right? I think they've got a tough road given that time is really running out on what Lincoln Riley can do at USC. Yeah, they had the 11-win season, but how many playoffs have they made? Heisman Trophy winner, that's fine. But that's not why they brought Lincoln Riley to SC, is to get to the college football playoff. Something he could do routinely at Oklahoma, hasn't done at SC. 27, I got Louisville. Jeff Brom returns a whopping 17 upperclassmen from a team that knocked off a 2024 ACC champion Clemson by 2 scores on the road. They ought to be good to decent. Number 28, I got Iowa State. I think Rocco Beck can lead the Cyclones to another one of their best seasons in program history. They won 11 games for the first time and made their second Big 12 title appearance. Best season they've had since 2020 when they beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl and they had a unanimous All-American Breece Hall at tailback and a little-known quarterback by the name of Brock Purdy. Okay. At 29, I got Iowa. That is because Mark Gronowski is there. They finally got a quarterback. Best recruit that Kirk Ferentz probably has gotten in some time. Over 10,000 yards passing, won the Walter Payton Award, best offensive player in FCS, 49-6 as a starter. He makes them credible in the passing game, which is all they need to be because Phil Parker's defense is going to do its job. Number 30, I got Nebraska. I think Dylan Raiola and Dana Holgorsen have an opportunity to really be great and really have a lot of fun. The last time that Dana Holgorsen was a full-time offensive coordinator, he had a quarterback in Brandon Whedon, a wide receiver in Justin Blackman, and they set records. They went for over 500 yards of offense a game, over 350 yards through the air. Dylan Raiola has that kind of talent, but he's going to need to find some guys on the outside that can help him achieve that. I think Ja'Cory Barney figures into this. You're going to have a lot of fun with that guy in the slot if you are really paying attention. Then we get to Houston at number 31, which I think is also going to, raise some eyebrows, but I like what Houston is becoming. They got a 5-star transfer in Connor Wigman, who I think can play, just needed to get back home and need to get healthy. Despite a 4-8 finish and 2-7 conference, they finished 4th in total defense last year, 2nd in scoring in the league. If Wigman can be a 3,000-yard passer and they can control the ball like Willie Fritz would like to, you're going to find out just how hard it is to beat Houston. They're going to win more games than people expect, and I think they're going to earn this ranking that I put them there, given what I expect from the coaching staff, given what I expect from the schedule, given what I expect from continuity. Syracuse at number 32. They won 10 games last year, in case you did not know. Yeah, they lost Kyle McCord, who is the country's leading passer, but I think they're going to be okay. Whether or not they go with Steve Angeli or Ricky Collins, both of those guys are unproven, but Fran Brown will have that sorted out. I also think that Jonte Cook has an opportunity to go and rewrite the script. That's a great wide receiver. Let him be great at Syracuse and see where you end up. 33, I got Kansas. That is Lance Leipold breaking in a new offensive coordinator, but an old hand, a guy that he has had for years after losing Jeff Grimes to Wisconsin, Andy Kotelnicki to Penn State. He gets a healthy Jalen Daniels back. They're searching for a replacement at tailback. Devin Neal meant a lot to that program, 1,000 yards back 3 times in a row. They lost 39 seniors. They're going to be young, but I like what DK McDonald is doing defensively, and I like that he got promoted from within. They allowed just 26 points per game in 2024, fewest at KU since 2007. Florida State at 34. After 13-1 the ACC title in 2023, a crappy campaign, to say the least, in 2024, just 2-10. Mike Norvell brought in Gus Malzahn to run the offense. He brought in Tony White to run the defense. Tommy Castellanos is back and saying he wants Bama. We'll see just how much that is true when they play week 1. Number 35, I got Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels, one of the best NFL coaches who has ever lived. Certainly the best ever in the salary cap era. However, at 72, he's brand new to our sport. And he can be what Jimmy Johnson was, what Barry Switzer was, what Pete Carroll was. But remember, those guys were college football coaches before they were NFL coaches. They weren't going the other way. I think if Bill Belichick can be as good as Deion Sanders, North Carolina will feel like he earned his $10 million. How about that? Number 36, I got Vanderbilt. They beat a number 1 ranked team for the first time in school history last year in Alabama. It's a really great game. Diego Pavia has put on a show since being that guy. He is their best player outside of Eli Stowers, who is, best tight end in the SEC newcomer of the year. And everywhere he goes, Pavia has turned in a winner. Georgia Tech, I got at 37. The Yellow Jackets felt so good about winning 7 games last year that they made rings to commemorate it. But I get it. Haynes King is back. Brent Keith blinks the world of him. They had a top 25 recruiting class last year, but they've also got woefully underrated receivers in Dean Patterson, Eric Rivers, and a really great edge in Ronnie Triplett. 38, I got Arizona. Brent Brennan really needs a win. It wasn't a great campaign, especially considering you had Teteroa McMillan and Noah Fafita back for 1 more year. Now you got to replace that production that you're getting with McMillan, and perhaps they think they can do it. Brennan's defense was, as a unit, not great. They gave up 413 yards, 32 points per game on average. Got to clean that up. Number 39, Auburn. Next man up mentality for Hugh Freeze and them, but Jackson Arnold's got to be a dude for you. He has to show out. He has to be that guy. If he can, then Eric Singleton gets service. Then Cam Coleman gets service. And we're talking about you playing in the Iron Bowl for something more than pride come November. They got a week 1 matchup against Baylor that I think is going to set the bar for where they expect to start and win. They got Oklahoma and A&M on the schedule. Boise State at 40. I'm not into Boise State being a top 25 team at all. Mostly because I remembered that Ashton Jeanty plays for the Las Vegas Raiders now. 2,600-yard rusher. Did anybody forget? Because I didn't. Spencer Danielson has done a great job coaching that team, but you're going to have to show me more with Maddox Madsen and Matt Lauder and Latrell Caples before I want to make you a top 25 program. And you can do it. Indiana did it. I just need to see you do it. TCU, I got it at number 41. Sonny Dykes' team has been trying to regain the form that it showed since 2022. And I think Josh Hoover is going to help them get closer and closer to that. That man was really great in the passing game for them. If the defense holds up, Andy Avalos can get that thing under control. I got the program finishing around 9 wins. Things go their way. Duke at 42. Manny Diaz finished 9-4 last year. Not too shabby, especially given the before times. Because in the modern era, you can flip your roster real quick, fast, in a hurry and make yourself a contender if you nail your evaluations. They brought in an $8 million quarterback over 2 years in Darren Mensah, former Oklahoma wideout Andrew Anthony, Chandler Rivers, and Wesley Williams alongside Vincent Anthony and Aaron Hall figure to lead your defense. Those guys all combined for 34 tackles for loss, but you're going to need to really play outstanding defense when you let your week 2 matchup against Illinois, and then you got a week 3 at Tulane that could be tricky. Duke walks into Death Valley on November 1st, and if they do it as a one-loss team, Blue Devils can be in the mix for the college football playoff. 43, I got Pitt. Started 7-0 last year and then went right into the crapper. Just that bad. Eli Holstein coming back from injury, but Desmond Reed is the guy. He's their best player. I think we're looking at them playing a difficult schedule with games against Louisville, at Florida State, at Syracuse before October 11th. So maybe not off to a 7-0 start this year. They finish with games at Notre Dame, against Notre Dame, at Georgia Tech, and against Miami. They make the playoff. They will have earned it every step of the way. 44, I got Baylor. Dave Aranda's team won 6 of the last 7 games this last season, with losses coming to LSU. Okay. Year 6, Aranda, he said it's his most talented team he's ever had in Waco, and that should scare people because remember, he had a 12-2 team in 2021 that played in the Sugar Bowl. Pairing offensive coordinator with Jake Spavital and Sawyer Robertson, I think is a stroke of genius. Both of those guys love each other. Spavital knows exactly what he wants to do offensively and will be able to utilize the skill set that Robertson showed with over 3,000 yards passing last year, 32 total TDs, 8 INTs. Bears get a chance to lay down that marker earlier that I mentioned against Auburn. Week 1, they get SMU week 2. And the toughest opponent they play before, Arizona State, that's it, right? Those are the 3 games. 10 wins is possible. It's there for them. Memphis at number 45. There is a lot riding on Brendan Lewis at transfer. I just don't know that it's going to be what people think. Ryan Silverfield is loaded up in the portal, though, adding 6 new linebackers, 10 new defensive backs, including former Florida State safety Omarion Cooper. Silverfield has won twice as many games as he's lost, 42 and 21 in 5 years. Winning the American title is within reach. You do that, perhaps you play in the playoff. Tulane at 46. They've won 32 games over the last 3 years, going 9-5 under John Sumrall. Darren Mintz is gone, though. So is Mekhi Hughes. He's at Oregon. So is Alex Ballman. He's at Miami. So is Rayshawn Pleasant, who's at Auburn. So is Parker Peterson, who's at Wisconsin. 8 players left Tulane to join Power 4 conference teams in 2025. So a lot of Jake Retzloff is going to have to figure into what they're doing. Threw for 2,900 yards and 20 TDs on an 11-win BYU team. 20 transfers for Sumrall this year coming in. We'll see how much and how quickly they can get acclimated. 47, I got Boston College. If Grayson James is Boston College's starter at QB, Bill O'Brien will be fine. I think he knows what he has in that. The Eagles came apart after their 4-1 start last year, losing 5 of their final 8 games. Keep a lid on it this year, and your 7-6 can turn into 9-3, perhaps, maybe 9-4, depending on what you think you do in a bowl game. Turbo Richard finds the boost. Then BC's offense sustains its top speed. I love my motorsports analogies. Average 5.1 yards per carry on 55 rushes last year. Hand turbo the ball, and let's see what he can do. 48, I got UCLA. They got Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee. They're very high on him. They really think that he makes them a better football team. We'll get to find out and see. I'm not so sure because UCLA was 132nd in the country in rushing last year. That's out of 134 teams. Okay? Got to be able to run the football if you want to compete in the Big Ten. We'll take on Utah and UNLV in non-conference, and then they'll play Penn State, at Indiana, Nebraska, at Ohio State, and USC. Tough schedule for UCLA. 49, I got Washington. That is Jed Fish's Washington Huskies. If Damon Williams and Denzel Boston come along, everything's going to be fine. They add Omari Evans to that wide receiving core. Jonah Coleman can rush for 1,000 yards, 10 scores again. Yeah, Huskies can be pretty good. At number 50, I got James Madison. Alonzo Barrett II threw for 2,600 yards, 26 TDs. They were really good last year. I don't know that Bob Chesney's going to get as much credit as Curt Cignetti did, but he had 13 defensive starters, including 5 out of the FCS, and former Notre Dame defensive lineman Aiden Gobara. It's difficult to say that James Madison can contend for a college football playoff spot, but win 10 games and then let us figure that part out. We come back. Let's go through more of my 136 right here on Adapt and Respond. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you agree with where I ranked your team in my ultimate 136? We have gone through the first 50 of my 136, and we're up to number 51, and that is Wisconsin, who is 12-0 when they rush for 150-plus yards since 2022. That's it. That's what it is. Run the ball if you're Wisconsin. Get back to your identity. They are outstanding when they just hand the ball off to anybody at all. I really think that adding Jeff Grimes and getting rid of Phil Longo is going to help with this. Jeff Grimes, who had a 1,000-yard rusher, in Devin Neal. They also need to run the football because they got a tough schedule that's going to force them to be very good at scoring. And I mean, when they got possessions and keeping the scores down. I don't know that Luke Fickell is going to come across a tougher schedule as a head coach. At Alabama versus Iowa, at Michigan, at Oregon versus Ohio State, and Indiana this season. Yikes. 52, I got Kentucky. Zach Calzada coming back in the SEC after a really outstanding stint at Incarnate Word. They add former Oklahoma running back Seth McGowan by way of New Mexico State, and Alabama wide receiver Kendrick Law, and Oklahoma wide receiver J.J. Hester. If Calzada is as good as we think, and I think he is, let's remember this. He and Diego Pavia are the only QBs playing this year who have beaten number 1 ranked Alabama. Remember, Calzada was the starting quarterback for Jimbo Fisher at A&M when an unranked A&M beat a top-seeded Alabama. Now, Mark Stoops needs to find his mojo. 4-8 last year is not what it is for Lexington, Kentucky fans. Perhaps this time, we're going to remind he's going to be tough to be a Kentucky fan again. There you got Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Ole Miss, all coming to Lexington. You win 2 of those, you ought to be very happy with yourself. North Carolina State at 53. CJ Bailey enters, as the same starting quarterback at NC State for the first time in 7 years, back-to-back seasons. That ought to help you. He had to be called into duty in a year that he didn't expect to play. Grayson McCall goes down with injury. And he finished with a pretty decent true freshman campaign, or I should say freshman campaign. 64%, 65% passes completed, 2,400 yards through the air, 17 TDs, 10 picks. Get the picks down, raise the TDs, you're going to win 8 games. Number 54, I got Cal with Justin Wilcox. What he's done has gone unnoticed because kind of like Tulane, they got pillaged. Fernando Mendoza's gone. Jay Knott is gone. You're asking a lot of, Jack Indries is gone. Naziah Hunter is gone. You're asking a lot of Devin Brown and or anybody else that has chosen to play Cal football this year, especially in the ACC. Cal does not play a single team ranked among the preseason top 25, though. That ought to count for something. You might have a soft schedule. 55, I got Northwestern. Former South Dakota offensive coordinator Zach Lujan will partner with Preston Stone, we think, from Southern Methodist, and that might have made them decent. But Griffin Wild is the guy to check here. He's former South Dakota State wide receiver, was matched up with Mark Gronowski. If that tandem comes together, I would expect Northwestern could go win 6, 7, 8 games. Number 56, I got Utah. Devin Dampier will give UConn the kind of athlete at quarterback that they just haven't had in the program since I think Alex Smith is that far back, and I'm including Cam Rising in that assessment. Alongside offensive coordinator Jason Beck, who came over to Utah with him. Last year, they went 484 total yards, 33.5 points per game. And Dampier had 27 yards passing and over 1,100 yards rushing. Those are Heisman Trophy kind of numbers. They just happened at New Mexico. So do that at Utah and get Utah back to that high water mark of 10, 11 wins. Might be easier to do. Vatek, I got at 57. Brent Pry needs to win this year. He is 0-6 against non-conference Power 4 foes. Means it hasn't been fun to play at Virginia Tech or be a Virginia Tech fan, I should say, in the early part of the season. He needs a winning season. 5 of their losses came by 1 score in 2024. 58, I got Mississippi State. It's hard to believe, but Mississippi State has gone bowling or had gone bowling in 13 years in a row before Zach Arnett took over the program in 2023. And it didn't get that much better when Jeff Lebby in year 1. Michael Van Buren felt like the guy after you lost Blake Shapen. And now Michael Van Buren is backing up Garrett Nussmeier at LSU. You lose Kevin Coleman to Missouri. It's just been tough. And now you got, my goodness, one of the toughest schedules in the country. I mean, Georgia, Texas, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, Arizona State. It's asking a lot of Mississippi State in 2025. 59, I got Oklahoma State. 3-9 last year. Absolutely garbage. 0-9 in Big 12 play. Un-Mike Gundy-like. And this is year 25 of the Mike Gundy experience and year 20 of him being the head coach. If you get the quarterback right, and I think he can, Doug Meacham knows what he's doing. Ty Grantham knows what he's doing. Perhaps we can expect Oklahoma State to be decent in 2025. 60, I got BYU. It was supposed to be the year of the Jake Retzloff show, but losing him really makes you plummet. Like, I don't see how the coaches poll could make that a top 25 team knowing that Jake Retzloff is not the quarterback. You're also looking at a defense that really needs a dude that can lead it on the offense. Like, I look at BYU and I see what they don't have at quarterback, and I go, oh, you're going to be running what Iowa's doing in 2022 unless something changes. I'm also looking at 61, Army, Dwayne Coleman at quarterback. Army hasn't had a wagon driver with enough artillery to make that offense shine, but that should change because, last year they were pretty damn good. They get the quarterback right, they're going to be great. Mark 8 wins down for Jeff Monken this year and every year. But if they run through Kansas State in Manhattan in week 3, could be looking at a mark for them to make the college football playoff, which I think would make a lot of people happy. Army and Navy are a couple of those programs that you just root for. You would love to see them win at a high level. I don't think it's going to hurt anybody's feelings. 62, I got Rutgers. Greg Schiano returns 22 players from that 2 deep last year, 10 of whom were starters. That's enough. Number 63, I got Navy. Brian Newberry has Blake Horvath back. That's the team that beat Oklahoma in the Armed Forces Bowl. They'll be decent. They should get 9 or 10 wins and or compete for the American Championship. 64, I got Arkansas. Trying to get back to the 9-4 mark they set in 2021. And I think they can if Bobby Petrino and Taylon Green can take that next step. Taylon Green, who still threw for more than 3,100 yards and rushed for over 600. They can be good. They really can. 65, I got Oregon State. The Beavers have to start fast and keep the loud pedal on the floor with a schedule that includes Cal, Fresno State, Oregon, and Houston. And that's just the first 5 weeks. Number 66, I got UTSA. What started ugly last year came to a strong finish in UTSA, going 7-6, but This year, the Roadrunners returned 3,200-yard passer, 25 TD passer, Owen McGowan. I think the issue for Jeff Traylor, that is, will be fielding a defense that can stop people with just 6 veterans who played more than 200 snaps last season. 67, I got Cincinnati. That is Scott Satterfield's Cincinnati. And he's got Brendan Sorsby back at quarterback, who threw for 426 against Texas Tech last year, in case anybody wondered, and also led the Big 12 in rushing TDs with 9. Running back Evan Pryor gets started. Could have a 14th consecutive year of 1,000-yard rusher. 68, I got West Virginia. It's about Rich Rodriguez returning to Morgantown, bringing his identity back. I think he fits them. I think they fit him. I don't know how good they expect to be, but it wasn't that long ago that Rich Rodriguez had us all watching West Virginia with bated breath. We remember Pat White. We remember Steve Slayton. That's what we're trying to get back to in 2025. 69, I got Minnesota. I'm not sure about Drake Lindsey, but everything that I got to see about that dude that comes out of Fayetteville was pretty damn good. We'll see, though. 6'5", 230. Corey Parrish plans to play in all 3 phases for Minnesota this year, and PJ Fleck might actually have himself a winner for the at a high level. 10 wins, first time since 2019. Some things go their way. They've won 8 or more games in 3 out of the last 4 years. So 69 might feel a little bit low, but I just want to see them earn it. 70, I got Liberty. That's Jamie Chadwell's team. Done a lot of winning, both there and at Coastal Carolina. Something that I think we need to really focus on here is his win-loss record. He's 15-12 as a head coach, and he's got a New Year's 6 bowl berth as a G6 head coach. That's pretty damn good. 71, I got Ohio. Brian Smith follows one of the toughest acts in the sport. His predecessor, Tim Albin, won at least 10 games in Athens each of the last 3 years. That's a lot. Now, they'll play behind a new offensive line with Parker Navarro at quarterback and Sai Bagura at running back, but we'll see, right? Front 5 ought to be pretty good. UNLV at 72. I'm just not that high on what Dan Mullen is doing yet. Brought in a bunch of names that you know, a bunch of guys that have already broken through. And Michigan quarterback Alex Orji, but he can't throw the ball. Penn State running back Kevon Lee, who left because he wasn't going to get any carries. Texas wide receiver Troy O'Meara, guy that didn't get much service. Alabama wide receiver JoJo Earl. LSU wide receiver Corey Moore. Texas State defensive end Tumise Adeleye. Texas A&M defensive back Denver Harris. Georgia DB Jake Pope. Those are dudes. Those are all dudes. If he can get them to play together, yeah, okay, they can be great. That's 16 former 4- and 5-star players that, I'd take that. I'd take that at a group of 6 program. I'd take that. You've got Corey Dennis calling plays for you, and I think UNLV will be a team to watch early. But again, let's see him move up. UConn at 73. Secret sauce to them last year, winning 9 games, which is remarkable. They were really good in the red zone. 44 trips inside their opponent's 20-yard line, and they scored 41 times. Jim Mora can keep that up. They're going to be all right. 74, I got Central Florida. Scott Frost was head coach of Central Florida the last time that the Golden Knights had an undefeated season. You get what I'm saying there? 2017 national championship. Asterisk for some, not for me. They're trying to get that old thing back, but I'm just not sure. When Scott Frost did this in 2017, college football was totally different. I don't know if he has the skill set that you need to go win at a high level in Orlando, but we will see, right? He's got a really good matchup against Bill Belichick's Tar Heels on September 20th that we'll all be watching. Toledo at 75. Jason Candle has shown himself to be one of the models of consistency in character and adaptability in a sport that has seen more changes than any at this juncture. The Rockets have won 73 games and lost just 40 in the Candle era. He's the winningest coach there over Gary Pinkel. Also a place where Nick Saban got to be head coach for a little while. I think they can expect to earn a third MAC title. Ohio State, former Ohio State and Kentucky tailback, Chip Trainum's over there. And Tucker Gleason can absolutely cook. We'll see. Maryland at 76. Billy Edwards transferred to Wisconsin. Mike Loxley hopes that UCLA quarterback Justin Martin can fill that void. Terrapins were just bad last year. Ranked 101st in scoring with just 23.7 points per game. They need to get that up. They were even worse defensively, giving up 30 points per game for 105th in the country. They also lose Roman Hemby to Indiana. 77, we're talking about Wake Forest and the Demon Deacons getting away from the Dave Clawson era and into the Jake Dickert one. I'm not sure that Robbie Ashford makes you that much better. And Karate Brenson, great name. Reginald Vick are a couple of HBCU gems that will get open for their quarterback, but we'll just have to see, right? I don't know if Robbie Ashford's the guy. 78, we got South Alabama. Major Applewhite probably hates the portal. It was not kind to him. He lost Gio Lopez to UNC. He lost Fluff Bothwell to Mississippi State. He lost Jordan Scruggs to West Virginia, and he lost Laith Marjan to Kansas. But he kept Kentrell Bullock, who rushed for 984 yards last season. We'll see. Fresno State, I think that's going to be a team to watch. Matt Ince did a lot of winning at North Dakota State, and now he's the head coach at the FBS level. He's going to have former Rice quarterback E.J. Warner there. He's going to have Finn Claypool out there, who's got 70.5 tackles for loss, 10 sacks at Drake last season. I think Fresno State's going to be a team to watch. Really excited to finally see if Corey Foreman has found a place where he can go be great. Number 80, we got San Jose State. Spartans finished 7-6, large part due to an air raid philosophy of feeding your best playmaker the ball. Nick Nash, 104 catches, 1,382 yards in FBS, leading all receivers, 16 TDs. Ken Niumatalanoa has to replace, almost everybody of note. Matthew Coleman, remember Nick Nash, Caleb Presley, Malachi Crawford. You're asking a lot of Walker Eggett, but we'll see. 81, I got Louisiana. I mean, the continuity at the running back position is going to be extraordinary. Bill Davis and Zylan Perry, they combined to rush for 1,491 yards last year, 13 TDs. Number 82, I got Georgia Southern. Clayton Helton's group has been punchy since he arrived at Georgia Southern, but I think if J.C. French can double his TDs from last year, 17 to 34, and cut his INTs in half from 11 to 5, you could be looking at a pretty decent season, right? Western Kentucky at 83. Tyson Helton continues to pick the best of the rest at offensive coordinator. And, if you play for him, you're probably going to have a lot of fun. Abilene Christian offensive coordinator Rick Bowie and quarterback Maverick McIver lead the Hilltoppers this year. It's going to be cool. McIver threw for 506 yards last year against Texas Tech. Texas Tech was giving up some pass yards last year, guys. And turns 25 week 0. They get Sam Houston State. 84, I got Virginia. Tony Elliott, 11-23. It's not great. They really need Chandler Morris to come on if they expect to be any good. 85, I got Texas State. That is G.J. Kinney's Texas State. G.J. Kinney was quarterback at Tulsa when Tulsa beat Notre Dame. Tommy Reese was quarterback at Notre Dame during that year. This is 2010. We'll see. They're going to make the move to the Pac-12 from the Sun Belt here pretty quick, but I don't know that Nate Yarnell or Keldrick Luster are going to be the guys, but, maybe G.J. knows something I don't. Wazoo is just kind of try to find itself, right? Out is John Mateer, who transferred to Oklahoma. In is Jimmy Rogers, who won a 2023 FCS National Championship, 11-3 at South Dakota State. If you can pick up South Dakota State and drop it over the top of Wazoo, you're going to feel pretty good about yourselves. Number 87, I got South Florida. Byram Brown, goodness me, earns a starting job after suffering season-ending knee injury last season. They're probably going to be okay. If they're not, Alex Galesh is probably going to end up looking to Cartavius Norton a little bit more. Sam Franklin transferred from Oklahoma. Todd Orlando is going to blitz everybody defensively, but you know what that is. You're going to win as many as you lose, and I don't hate that as a philosophy. 88, I got Stanford. Not really sure what to do with a head coach on a one-year rental who hasn't done this at this level before, but Stanford is trying to figure itself out as Andrew Luck gets a new athletic director, has had to fire the head coach, hire an interim, and while he tries to find the next guy to lead the Stanford Cardinal. 89, I got Troy. Goose Crowder has at least one wideout I trust to make a play in Ra Thomas. I need Ra to do the Jonte Cook, right? Be good. I know you got into trouble, but now's your opportunity to go be great somewhere. 90, I got Buffalo. Pete Limbo's Bulls ought to be lethal, right? we're looking at a defense that's returning Kobe Stewart, Deion Crawford, Red Murdoch. It's pretty good, man. 42 tackles for loss, 20 sacks. They're also adding Taquan Robertson. We'll see what that means for them at quarterback. Air Force. Trey Calhoun's Falcons used to be pretty damn good. 2019-23, they won 40 games. Last year felt like an outlier, 5-7. Now, it'll be interesting to see what they can do in this new Mountain West, especially as you got a lot of people that are going to be leaving this the conference. But I'm not sure that we can expect them to do more than 6 wins this year unless they find the form that they showed prior to 2024. Miami of Ohio. Chuck Martin knows ball. He does. Redhawks won just 5 games in their first 2 seasons. Since then, they made a steady come up, right? They're 28 over the last 2 years. It's still Miami of Ohio. You know, they added Daquan Finn. They added Deion Colsey. We'll see. Number 93, I got Colorado State. They went bowling for the first time since 2016 in 2024. Banner year for Jay Norvell, who absolutely positively needed a great year. Braden Fowler Nicolosi is back at quarterback for the Rams, and the expectation is they'll be good. Coastal Carolina at 94. I think we're talking about Tim Beck really looking for some consistency from his offense and his defense. Ethan Vasco and/or Braden Bennett transferring. Beck needed to go get MJ Morris. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm just not. This team gave me head. I mean, I was scratching my head looking at this because Jameson Tucker and Cameron Wright, Bryson Graves, decent wide receiver group. A lot of SEC, ACC talent. Jamarion Wayne, Robbie Washington. I just don't know. Like, they go bowling, I'll call that good. Marshall, 95. My goodness. Charles Huff left with everything that wasn't nailed down at Marshall when he went to Southern Miss. Left Tony Gibson one hell of a job. Like, it's going to be Tony Gibson is in dynasty mode right now, man. He's got a rebuild of rebuilds. We'll see. Tony Mathis Jr. can be a 1,000-yard back for them. That'll give them something steady to lean on. Appalachian State at 96 for me. Dow Loggins, year 1, head coach. In a spot to shock some folks, though, after 21 years in the NFL, took him no time to turn South Carolina into a formidable offense. He knew what Lenore Sellers was and turned him into the guy that he is. Now he's got A.J. Swan, who transfers from LSU. J.J. Cole, quarterback, also transfers from Iowa State. We'll see, right? Jaden Barnes can be a 1,000-yard receiver. They're pretty good. Michigan State at 97. Aiden Childs and Nick Marsh need to be dudes in 2025. Childs needs to throw for more than 250 yards a game. They need to find a tailback that works. But when Nick Marsh had 150 yards receiving or more, they were undefeated. They were 4-0. Keep that part up. North Texas at 98 for me. Eric Morris might be the closest coach we have had at the FBS level to Mike Leach in terms of his philosophy. I mean, he's going to go for it on 4th down. He went for it 44 times last season, most of anybody in the country. And they're probably going to score. 25 games under Morris, North Texas scored 35 points or more 14 times. It's pretty awesome what they've been able to do. I think that they're going to be fine, but they're 98 for a reason. 99, I got Purdue. Purdue will be better, but that's not saying a lot given what they did last year. They didn't beat a single FBS program. I mentioned Tony Gibson is in dynasty mode. So is Barry Odom. Plays Notre Dame, Illinois, Ohio State, Michigan, and Indiana this year. Yikes. East Carolina at 100. Blake Harrell won 4 games in a row as the interim. They made him the head coach. Just keep that part up. Now bump Caden Hauser's numbers up from 2,000 yards passing to 3,000 yards passing, from 18 passing TDs to 25, and you might be on to something. They got games against NC State, BYU, and Tulane. Those are going to test them. We come back, we will finish the 136 right here on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, answer the question in the comments below. Do you agree with where I ranked your team? And you might not, as we're getting into the final 36 of my 136, and we're up to 101. Talking about San Diego State, who's got Sean Lewis, who's demonstrated with a great QB, he can be dangerous. And now he's got former Michigan quarterback Jaden Daigle. I think he gets that sorted out. It can be what it was when he was at Colorado and they're throwing for a bunch of yards. But it's year 2 at SDSU, and 10 wins a season at this program is what they were used to from 2015 to 2021. It's time to show folks that you can win if you're Sean Lewis. Old Dominion, I got at 102. Ricky Ronnie has gone 20-30 as a head coach of the Monarchs. He's lost at least 7 games in 3 of the last 4 years in Norfolk. He needs a winner. 103, I got Arkansas State. The bones are really good for Butch Jones and the Red Wolves. He returns a 27-yard passer in Jalen Rayner, 1,000-yard receiver in Corey Rucker, a running back in Jaquez Cross, who averaged 5.5 yards per carry. Now, get your defense going, right? Nail your evaluations with guys like DeMarcus Hendricks and Cody Stigler, and then we'll see. Wyoming, right, at 104. Cowboys had a rough 2024, 3-9 in Jay Salvel's first season. And I mean, this is a program that went 9-4 when he was defensive coordinator in 2023. They got 8 out of 13 portal pickups from the FCS, but they were able to pillage at a high level. We'll see. Sam Houston, this is Phil Longo's year 1. They get Western Kentucky in their week 0 matchup where they get to lay down a marker. But Longo's got a rebuild on his hands. He's got a quarterback returning in Hunter Watson. He's got North Texas running back Shane Porter. He's got former Indiana running back Elijah Green. We'll see. Those 2 backs, though, they've combined for 6.7 yards last season. That could be the key here. But Phil Longo wasn't fond of running the ball a whole bunch when he was the offensive coordinator at Wisconsin. We'll see if that's changed. Northern Illinois, I got at 106. Thomas Hammock's Huskies went into Notre Dame Stadium and came out with a W. But that was the high watermark for an 8-5 program that was hit hard this cycle by the portal. 13 new players that they needed to add. Last year started at QB, 2 best tailbacks, the 4 best wide receivers, the 4 best defensive tackles. All heard the siren call of the portal and all went into it. We will see what comes of that 2025. Jacksonville State, I got at 107. This is Charles Kelly's first opportunity. He's the rare coach who has called plays for offense and defense as a coordinator and now acts as a head coach. Coach for Nick Saban, Hugh Freeze, Jimbo Fisher, and Deion Sanders. He's got what he thinks is a really great play caller in Clint Trickett. And we'll see what Gavin Wimsatt can do at quarterback. UAB at 108. That's Trent Dilfer's UAB. When they hired him in 2023, I'm sure that they thought it was going to be every bit as good as it was with Bill Clark, but it hasn't been. Now, he needs to strike gold with Jalen Kitna. He needs to strike gold with Jermichael Rogers. Jermichael Rogers, who down the road had 18.5 tackles for loss at Miles College in Division II. That's in Birmingham as well. HBCU, for those of y'all that don't know. 109, we got a team I really like. Hawaii. I just like. Timmy Chang might have found himself a quarterback in Micah Alejado. At Bishop Gorman, dude threw for 125 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Max Preps National Junior of the Year. But he's a 3-star. Why? Because he's 5'10". You know me, I ride for the short dudes, especially a short dude that goes for 469 passing yards against New Mexico. 5 TDs. They might not win a bunch, but they'll be fun. La Tech entering year 4 with Sonny Cumbie is 11-26. My gosh. It's going to be tough for them this year. I don't see them rising that much farther up the ranks here unless things go their way in a way that I just don't see. Tony Franklin, 67. He's called plays for Army. Going to call defense now. We'll see. Florida Atlantic. The It Kid offensive coordinator is now the head coach. And Zach Kitley. He's 33, taking over FAU. And since Lane Kiffin left, they're 22-35. It's not been great, right? You think that marrying him with Caden Veldkamp, who was the quarterback at WKU, is going to be a good thing. And I think it can be. Veldkamp, who threw for 3,100 yards, 25 TDs, 10 picks last year. They'll be fun. Southern Miss. They start at 112 just because I don't know that all these parts are going to be able to go over in Hattiesburg. But 50 transfers. 50 for Charles Huff. On a team that he's going to give the offense to. And Blake Anderson, We'll see if they can go from 11-1 last year, which is what they were in 2024, to perhaps winning at a high level, maybe. Utah State checks in at 113. Bronco Mendenhall's first year is going to be there. They went 5-7, or he went 5-7 at New Mexico last year. Now is year one at Utah State, and we'll see just how quickly he can stop the losing. They've had 3 straight losing seasons. I'd like to get that stopped. Delaware, one of the teams that makes the 134 into the 136, checking in at 114. If you're looking for 2023 James Madison, this is the kind of program that you're going to be watching. Ryan Carty's team might take a moment to settle in, not unlike, say, Sam Houston State, but they're returning 17 and 22 starters, and we're just going to see how they measure up. Rice at 115. Scott Abel's team at Davidson was 47-28. Now, what's cool about this hire is they're gonna run the football. Brown ran with So the way that Mac Brown ran the offense at Texas, I think, is the way that Scott Abel is going to run the offense at Rice. They put up 315 yards rushing per game. We'll see. It ought to be fun. New Mexico at number 116. Jason Eck coming from Idaho, the team that damn near vandalized Oregon and has been really good in the FCS for the last few years. They've won 26 games over the last 2 years. And I think he's taken one of the toughest jobs in the sport in New Mexico, and he's trying to turn it into a winner with guys that he's bringing with him from Idaho, including Jack Lane and 3 tailbacks that were all conference last year in the Big Sky. On 117, we got 80 Georgia's Bowling Green Falcons. We'll see if he can turn him into a MAC contender, but he's shown that he can build a program. He went from Tennessee State to Bowling Green, but Tennessee State went 9-4 last year with a share of the Ohio Valley Conference title. We'll see. He brought a couple of those guys that played with him at Tennessee State with him, including son Eric, who had 12.5 tackles for loss, and cornerback Jalen McClendon, who had 4 interceptions. Eastern Michigan at 118. Message for them is just finish. They started 5-2 last season. They finished 5-7. 119, I got Central Michigan. This is Matt Drinkle's first opportunity to really take over a program since Kansas Wesleyan. They were 13-1 his second year. Like, he flipped 2-9 and 13-1. We'll see if he can do that with Chippewas. 120, I got Western Michigan. We'll see, man. They got a really interesting wide receiver in Christian Leary. I think he can be for them one of the better offensive players in the country if they feed him the rock and he lives up to the billing that I think he once had as one of the best slot receivers in the sport. Nevada at 121. It's hard to go from 3-10 and go 3-10 or 3-9 and feel good about it, but that's what they did last year. They beat Oregon State and Troy. They lost 6 in a row, but Jeff Schoatz's team composed itself well last year. We'll see if they can finish. 122, I got New Mexico State. Tony Sanchez, Aggies. Couldn't score with any consistency in 2024. That needs to change. Missouri State at 123. The other team that makes us 134 to 136. They get to play big boy football in Conference USA. We'll see what that means for them. They got a credible quarterback in Jacob Clark, who threw for 3,600 yards last year, 26 TDs. We'll see. Middle Tennessee, Derek Mason needs to go bowling this season or he might be first out, man. They lost 9 games by an average of 24 points last year. Can't happen. UTEP at 125. Scotty Walden brought in former USC and Boise State quarterback Malachi Nelson. If he can get some magic running with them and the 21 players he returns, they'll be all right. ULM, Brian Vincent had one hell of a turnaround. Team wasn't supposed to be good any good last year. And not only was it good, it began by winning 5 games in the first half of the season. They just went 0-6 in the second half. And they lost Ahmad Hardy to the transfer portal, which is their best player, 1,300 yards. He's now at Missouri. Tulsa at 127. Been getting a lot of conversation about Tulsa. So I'm just going to give you what I got on my alma mater, Tulsa Golden Hurricane at 127. Trey Lamb, 35, takes over as head coach at Tulsa after flipping East Tennessee State from 3-8 to 7-5. It's pretty good. Before that, he led Gardner Webb to the FCS playoffs bids in 2022, 2023. He inherits quarterback Kirk Francis, who has yet to complete more than 59% of his passes in a season. Maybe pairing him with a running back like Savion Morrison, who was an absolute monster at Tulsa Edison, and Dominic Richardson will allow the offense to function with something like, I don't know, a pulse. 4 straight years of being flat out bad at a school that has produced 4 Pro Football Hall of Famers and 2 first-round picks in the last 5 years is quite enough. It's not really a commentary on Trey Lamb as much as it is the Golden Friggin' Hurricane. When I was in school, we beat Notre Dame. 128, I got Temple. Casey Keeler won a national title at Delaware and Sam Houston, nearly 20 years apart. Led the former to a 9-3 record and its first year of FBS play. Now he's looking to try to flip Temple into a winner. He's got Jay Drucker at tailback, who rushed for 1,100 yards for him in 2021. We'll see. They got tough games this year against Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, non-conference play. 129 got Charlotte. After going the Jim Harbaugh disciple route, they went and got themselves a real winner in Tim Albin, and I think that's going to be a team we get to watch. Albin's won 10 games each of the last 3 years as a head coach. They just got to do it at Charlotte for me to believe it. Kennesaw State at 130. Brian Bohannon was fired after a poor year, one poor year in FBS play. He'd been their head coach, basically, and been their best. Now Jerry Mack takes over, and schedule's mean, dog. Good luck. 131, I got FIU, Florida International, for those of y'all that, want the whole thing. Keon Jenkins is back under center, but he lost some of his favorite targets at wide receiver. Threw for 2,500 yards, 22 TDs, 2024. We'll see. Georgia State, this team beat Vanderbilt last year. That beat Alabama. And then, they got wins against Chattanooga and Texas State. Del McGee also got a gem in Branson Robinson, who transfers in from Georgia. I think with him and Jordan Simmons, you could have a pretty good rushing attack. Akron at 133. Joe Moorhead's program just demands nuance, right? Like, that's what you got to look at. They go 4-8, but they weren't very good in 2024. Like I said, it's easy to say they're not very good in 2024 after going 4-8, but it kind of ignores that they were 7-47 before Joe Moorhead arrived in 2019, or 2023. It's kind of wild that 2019 and 2023, they go 7-47, and then last year they go 4-8, and people are mad. Ball State at 134. It's the first year that we're going to get to see Mike Uramich. We'll see. It's Ball State. I'm not quite sure that we get to talk about them winning at a high level, but I do know they're going to be fun to watch. Kyle Kelly, brilliant athlete. Quay Ashley, brilliant athlete, and they go 6'8", 6'10" at their offensive tackles positions this year. UMass at 135. Perhaps no program is more out of its depth in the FBS than the Minutemen, but, now they're back in the MAC. Maybe that changed some things. Then 136, I got Kent State, rock bottom. That's where the Golden Flashes ended last season, too. They're starting over with an interim head coach in Mark Carney. Kenny Burns was dismissed last April. The goal is simple for them at 136. Don't be 136 at the end of the season. Be 135 or better. That is my ultimate 136. For those of y'all that were here for the live show, thank you so much for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year round. We're doing post-game shows that are live shows after big events. If you're into that, go ahead and lock in. You can check the channel page for upcoming live streams, live shows. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Doses.